Hey, welcome back, everyone. This next chapter is called The Dark Mysteries of Cleveland. For those of you just joining us, I'm reading through my book, Letters from Backstage, which is a chronicle of my time on the road with the Broadway tour, and I'm just doing it to entertain us. It's fun for me, too. I haven't revisited these stories in a long time. I have to apologize in advance to anyone from Cleveland before I read this chapter. My my dislike of Cleveland is borderline legendary. So, what are you gonna do? You can't get to me because we're all sequestered, and But apologies in advance. Okay, chapter 4: The Dark Mysteries of Cleveland, October 19th, 2002. Hello again, friends. I believe it was Ralph Waldo Emerson who wrote, "Cleveland sucks," and I'm not kidding either. Boy, that guy had a way with words. And our company of the producers would probably agree unanimously. But for us, the suckiness of Cleveland has come in the form of such a strange variety of coincidences that we decided, just for our own amusement, to blame some mystical condition pervading the city. Okay, it's not all bad. Our apartments at the city court are nice. Sorry, sidebar. This lawyer made me change all these things. This is the Reserve Square. Any of you who've been on tour know the Reserve Square. I was just there again when I was there doing Clue. So I don't know why we had to change it, but there we go. It's not all bad. Our apartment at Reserve Square are nice. It's a great change to have a kitchen and a living room after being in a hotel for a month. I've never been so thrilled to toast a bagel. And there's a laundry room, a grocery store, a coffee place, a pool, and a bar, all right there in the building. All truly fantastic, especially the bar. And hey, we're employed. But almost since our arrival, we've been plagued by what we've come to call Clevelanditis, an affliction of the psyche that makes one moody, melancholy, strange, susceptible to colds and flu, and generally blechy. There seems to be a cloud of dreariness over the whole place, and with remarkable uniformity, everyone feels it. So come with me now, brave traveler, through the city of dark, exotic mysteries, with its mind-bending twists and turns, its eerie atmosphere that bewitches the unwitting visitor. Question all you know as you make your way along these winding streets full of shifting perceptions and ancient curses. Follow closely, my friend, or lose your soul. We're in Cleveland. The moment I arrived, my computer stopped working. 2 hours earlier in Pittsburgh, it had been fine. Now the screen was blank. It was an omen. The next day, we were called early to the theater to work things out in the new space. We arrived to find bedlam, as the load-in of the sets and the lighting was running late. It seemed impossible that we'd be ready for our show that night. Now, as a sidebar, here's something that I found astonishing about the way things work as we transition from city to city. We do a closing Sunday night show, the curtain comes down, and the crew immediately starts packing up the sets, costumes, wigs, lighting equipment, stage floor. We travel with our own deck, and all the mechanics. A huge amount of stuff into 10 trucks, which take off for the next city. Upon arrival, they start setting it all up again. That following Tuesday night, just 2 days later, we open the show in a new city for a paying audience with, are you ready, a new orchestra, new dressers, and several new crew members. And miraculously, we pull it off. So naturally, there's some awkwardness as we adjust to each new theater, and that was exactly where the real trouble started. The backstage area in Cleveland was tiny compared to Pittsburgh, so we had to squeeze. That first night, everyone was in everyone's way. Crew members carried set pieces through quick change areas. Actors ran around loudly whispering in search of their props. People hugged the wall to let others run by to make entrances. It was a Marx Brothers movie without the laughs. As for me, my biggest My biggest challenge was working out my quick changes with my new dresser, a lovely older man who was so anxious to help with everything that if I went to take off my hat, he'd assist me with it rather than working on another garment to speed things up. We'd find ourselves wrestling for control. He'd hand me my pants. I'd take them. He wouldn't let go. I'd toss a shirt into the discard bin. He'd intercept and we'd end up throwing it together. Folks, it was the oddest thing. You ever try putting on a tie with four hands? And it went on like this for several nights. We just kept getting in each other's way. Eventually, we worked it all out, and fortunately, I've managed to make every entrance. While the stage floor was tight, the rest of the building was a vast, rambling maze. To get to our dressing rooms, we had to go downstairs, past the orchestra pit, up a winding hallway, down a corridor, across state lines, and to the left. Keep in mind, we go back and forth a lot during the show. So every time a number would end, the entire ensemble had to hike, sweaty and panting, back down to the distant catacombs, only to change costumes and repeat the journey back up to the stage. Many joked that we wouldn't need transportation to our next stop, Cincinnati, since that's where the dressing rooms were. The poor crew, meanwhile, was exhausted from the difficult load-in and little, if any, sleep. The wardrobe people had their hands full finding spots to place the quick change racks. Things were so tight that our stage manager was stationed way off in a corner behind huge stacks of equipment where he could only see the stage on the tiny screen of his black and white monitor. I vaguely remember what the guy looks like. And then, rather ungracefully, the weather changed. Suddenly, it was chilly, windy, rainy, and gray. Fall had arrived, unannounced. We scrambled for our parkas and our sweaters. A nasty little flu, meanwhile, had apparently been alerted to our arrival and wasted no time in capitalizing on the weather change and working its way through the cast. Jeff, who plays the role of Carmen Gia, actually went out for several days and still looks a bit gray. I narrowly missed the dreaded Drick myself, fighting back with ginger, echinacea, vitamins, water, garlic, voodoo, positive thinking, and anything else I could get my hands on. Being on what I call Max Watch 2002, I have to be extra careful. If our star goes out, I have to be ready to go on, and he's fighting the same illness as we speak. It's like being the vice president or the runner-up Miss America. And then there was the neighborhood. Dark, bleak, desolate. There's one building on the way to the theater that we're sure is a crack house. After several company members expressed concerns and one was nearly mugged, a police officer was posted on the corner to make sure we all got home safely at night after the show. It takes a lot to unnerve New Yorkers, but those 2 blocks did it. Swell town. All of this made for a few snippy moments among the show folk, and I must confess that I had more than my share of them and had to do a bit of apologizing later. It just sneaked up on me. My muscles hurt, I was tired, I hated Cleveland, and the 3-day hike to and from the stage was getting to me. It took a few days for me to figure it out, friends. I had crossed over to my dark side. I was bitter, unreasonable, unpleasant, irritable, and it's so hard to say it. I didn't like my job. That's right, a day I thought would never come. And I was furious with myself for that. I thought, I am not this guy. I'm the guy who's always grateful to make a living in the arts. I'm the guy who loves the theater, who's living his lifelong dream come true. I'm in the producers, for Pete's sake. Nonetheless, this bad attitude persisted for the better part of a week until it just became funny. Fellow company members would give me a knowing smile and go, "Any better today?" "I'm getting through it," I'd smile back. What can I tell you? But inside, I was my own evil twin. Even in the midst of this, it was hard to take myself too seriously. You can't imagine how ridiculous it is to see a depressed guy in a lace granny dress with black pantyhose, or a Bavarian peasant costume complete with lederhosen. Even I had to laugh at myself. Still, I was living for Monday, our day off. I figured that would turn me around. Finally, Monday came, a chance to rest, restore, and regroup. I got a massage from a masseuse who'd been recommended by the local theater. Weird and creepy. That's a whole other story in itself. Let it suffice to say that 1, massage was definitely not his forte. 2, I believe he may have been offering other services. And 3, when he left, I was tenser than when he arrived. My shoulders were up near my ears. I felt greatly in need of a shower. The bar downstairs, meanwhile, had quite suddenly gone out of business. Something about unpaid rent. Just our luck, if ever we needed a drink. Liza, one of our stage managers, Kevin, and I went to Cleveland's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for a bit of diversion. Y'all, announced Kevin, he's from Texas, this guy told me there's a great restaurant on the 4th floor. So up we went, mouths watering towards the culinary mecca, visions of something flambé dancing in our heads. It was a snack bar. And as we dined on limp club sandwiches and stale potato chips and rancid coffee, we started to chuckle. And then we started to laugh. And then we started to laugh uncontrollably. Fucking Cleveland. We toasted to the man who had recommended the restaurant, bust our trays, and went off to see Bobby Sherman's first jumpsuit. And somehow, after that was fine. I returned to work the next week, bearing a remarkable resemblance to an actual human being, as did everyone else. We started having fun again, and the audiences, once the reviews came out, loved the show, and I was back to myself in spite of Cleveland. And thank God for that, because this morning, as I was editing this chapter, the call came. You know the call I mean. Hello? Hello, Michael, this is Rolt, the stage manager. Hey, Rolt, is this the call? This is the call. Louie's out sick. You're playing Max for the matinee. Okay. I hung up the phone and I took a very deep breath. My first reflex was terror. But then, as we all do when stakes are high, I got extremely focused. To my surprise, I realized that I wasn't all that nervous. I know it sounds strange, but since going on the road, I'd had meticulous weekly rehearsals in preparation for this very moment. With audience members paying top dollar for tickets, these Broadway shows don't leave things to chance. They make damn sure the understudy is ready to go on just in case. I was ready, and there was something else. Years ago, just as I was starting rehearsals for my first production of A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, I was suddenly thrust through some very unusual circumstances into the lead role. The character's hardly ever off stage, and I had 8 days to learn the part. I called a friend in LA in a panic. All right, she said calmly. I know you're nervous, but I'm going to tell you something that's critically important. You must not show it. Always remember, leading actors must lead. A light bulb switched on. I understood. No matter what, even if I was a complete mess, I had to present a composed facade for the rest of the cast so they wouldn't be nervous. As the new lead, I had to be the daddy. I had to take care of them. And so as I walked with determination toward the theater, I had a mission. Reassure the cast, let them know we still had a show. I didn't bother doing a last-minute cram. There were too many damn lines for that, and I had to trust that I knew them. Oh my God, Michael, I just heard. Are you nervous? Chirped one of our chorus girls as I made my way to the star dressing room for the first time. Nah, it'll be fun. How you doing? I didn't freak out. I didn't have the luxury. This was the big time now. I had to deliver. People came to see the producers, and damn it, they were going to get the producers. No matter what, this show was not going to fall apart on my watch. Jackie is Lou's dresser. She's called the star dresser for obvious reasons, and she's one of only 2 dressers who travel with the show. Jackie's a real character. A tough little broad with a heavy Scottish accent, the colorful vocabulary of a truck driver, and a deliciously wicked sense of humor. I once saw this stumpy little fire plug get on the elevator with 6 of our tall, gorgeous, leggy showgirls. Out of my way, you fat cows, she barked, and they all shrieked with laughter. I got to the dressing room to find Jackie pressing my Max costume for the first time. Hey, she nodded calmly, like we did this every day. I do a terrible Scottish accent, forgive me. You want to go over the fast changes? Fast changes? Ugh, it was all I could do to remember the lines and the blocking. Actually, Jackie, If it's up to me, I'd rather just have you push me around and tell me what to put on and take off. A sideways grin made her way along her lips. I can do that. Shortly before the show, Lou's co-star, Don Stevenson, he plays Leo Bloom, the role originated by Matthew Broderick, came into the dressing room to check on me. Don is famously reclusive, and we'd barely spoken up until then, but in a few minutes we'd be sharing the stage. He had my full attention. I only have one piece of advice for you, Kostroff, he said. Don't shoot your wad at the matinee. You'll probably be on again tonight. Save something for the second show. See you out there. And with that, he was gone. And that was Don's way of saying, I'm not worried about you. Break a leg. Well, I wish I had some outrageous story to tell you about playing Max for the first time, but the fact is I don't remember much. It was a bit of a blur. I think I was relatively together, considering the task. All those rehearsals and preparation and the fantastic support of everyone, the cast, the stage managers, the local crew members, and especially Jackie, my rock, who was there every time I left the stage, pushing me around. Take off your vest, put on this tie, give me your hat, drink some water, hurry up, you lazy bastard. She kept me loose and enabled me to get through it with a minimal number of mistakes. In fact, despite the enormity of the role, I had fun. The whole thing felt like a long, crazy ride at Disneyland. Mind you, I was too busy concentrating on the task at hand. 3 hours worth of lines, blocking, entrances, exits, choreography, song lyrics, and costume changes to take in the fact that I was starring in the first national tour of the producers that afternoon. But I must tell you, I need you to know that this cast was so sweet to me today. Supportive, excited, and very kind. When the curtain came down at the end of Act 1, they all whooped and shouted and hugged me, and did the same at the end of Act 2. Really a great group of folks. In the middle of singing the huge 11 o'clock number, Betrayed, a long, impossibly energetic solo in which Max recaps the entire show, I glanced into the wings and saw what looked like the entire cast squeezed together, watching like little bat's eyes in a cave. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the score, but the song is a mother. So when I made it successfully to the end, there arose such a cry from the wings, I thought the Apaches were attacking on horseback. When the show was over, I felt like I was made of water. Nothing left. I drifted back to the dressing room. The associate director came in with 6 pages of notes for me, which I really couldn't take in. I was like an overcooked noodle just draped in a chair. But I felt wonderful. I was glad to have gotten through it. And then there was a knock on my door. Fred, the other Max understudy, poked his head in. Damn you, he said. Now I'll never get to go on. And he grinned at me widely. He said, they should give you 50 pages of notes, and every one of them should say thank you. And he left. And then it was just me and Jackie, who was quietly hanging my costumes. Wow, I said, that was wild. I think I did okay. And this tough little cookie, who's been in the business for years, who has dressed and undressed superstars, who is fazed by nothing, turned around and said simply and sincerely, Kostroff, I cried. And coming from her, that may have been the dearest compliment of all. I oozed back to my apartment to grab a bite. Rolt phoned to say that I'd be on again for the evening performance. No worries, I murmured weakly, a little worried. Thank the Lord I'd heeded Don Stevenson's advice and saved something for the second show, though I was thoroughly spent by the time that was over. It was a great day. And there aren't a lot of those in Cleveland. Tomorrow's our closing night here. We can hardly wait to shake the dust from our feet and put this city behind us. Monday we travel, then on Tuesday we open in Cincinnati. Another new space and another new orchestra, new dressers and new crew members. Cincinnati has one major thing going for it. It isn't Cleveland. More to come. Kostroff. I really relived that. I hope you enjoyed it. I know were a lot of cuts in this one because we had the nightly tribute to our medical practitioners, frontline folks at 7 o'clock. I had a phone call, I had a text, so I'll have to Frankenstein this together a little bit. I've neglected to say to you all, subscribe. There are 22 chapters. I'm reading them all. And if you hit the subscribe button, you'll automatically be notified when they're posted. And thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye.